The United States of America was founded by white Europeans who were subjects under the rule of England. A vastly white country built by vastly white people in a vastly white continent. Yet while the white population of Europe, and even some parts of Asia, are actually quite diverse, having large numbers of different ethnic and cultural groups, by the standards found in the United States today, they are typically grouped into the category of Caucasian or simply just white. Especially by the social justice far leftists who subscribe to the notions of critical race theory and intersectionality, who believe that because all the ideas and cultures of Western democracy grew out of Europe, they are inherently white supremacists in nature, which has led to the concepts of whiteness and white privilege, both of which have essentially become white sin. This is because the far left dogma do not view white people as autonomous human beings that go about their lives. They do not view white people as individuals, as individualism itself is viewed as a manufacture of white supremacy. Rather, they view white people as a representative manifestation of the white patriarchal system that they struggle against. Meaning, anything a white person does, from getting married, having children, teaching their values, getting a job, going to church, to simply just living their lives, all of it is seen as perpetuating the oppressive nature of white supremacy. Therefore, white people are not independent actors in life with their own agency. They are viewed as nothing more than cogs in the machine of whiteness.
I think as a society, like white people are culturally kind of brainwashed to see themselves as above like immigrants, people of color, and then we have also like systemic issues with like the prison pipeline, and there's a lot of like systemic racism and discrimination here. Like that's all maintained and perpetuated by white people.
White people.
Thus, any means of canceling, silencing, or removing them from society is considered another step in ending their white privilege. As white people are perceived to gain privilege from a system that was supposedly created by them and for them, stretching back to English colonialism, the Age of Enlightenment, to even Christianity.
In America, white supremacy is a system that promotes whiteness and white maleness specifically, and white Christian maleness specifically, over everyone else.
Everything that spawned from these movements and time periods are judged to be white supremacy, with America itself being the prime example. As a result, everything from debate, religion, math, science, reason, logic, civility, liberty, to the very concept of time itself.
For if time had a race, it would be white. White people own time.
Are labeled as white supremacist tools used to oppress and control what is viewed as minority groups, which is basically anyone not born a straight white male. It doesn't matter if some of these ideas are objective truths or able to be utilized by any group of people. The very fact they derive from white people is regarded as structures designed to service white people and only white people. This is what the far left describe as the structure of systematic racism or institutional racism.
I now understand racism as a system, as a deeply embedded system, a system that our country was founded on and that all our institutions were created out of. And every institution reinforces this system.
The far left believe because this system was established by white people, they are the only ones who can benefit from it. As such, white people have privileges that minority groups do not have access to.
As America's current racial reckoning continues, we must finally confront the systems in this nation that not only benefit white people, but actively oppress all Black people.
So those who do not have these privileges are being oppressed by the system. Ergo, the system is racist, and all who gain from it are racist. Which is where the idea that white people cannot experience racism comes from. As according to the far left, racism is a structure built to oppress marginalized groups. So because white people have this inherent privilege that they are just born into, they are intrinsically racist and have to be taught to understand this. Once they check their privilege, they have to seek penance for unknowingly participating in a racist system. This is white sin, a system of oppression that has been created in order to empower a white majority, while dominating so-called people of color. By enforcing a worldview created and maintained by white people so as to control the means of knowledge. This is the white privilege that white people must be made to recognize through things like unconscious bias training, reading anti-racism literature, or just shutting up and listening to marginalized people speak.
My job is to listen and be a voice. And my job is to shut other white people down when they want to interrupt. My job is to shut other white people down when they want to say, oh no, I'm not prejudiced. I'm a Democrat. I'm accepting. My job is to make sure that they get that they have privilege. And until we shut our mouths and we listen to those people who don't.
They must not only understand why they are privileged, but once recognized, they must repent for their racism and pledge a lifelong pursuit of fighting to dismantle the systems of oppression that give them privilege, by effectively pointing out everything that is racist and sexist.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
This quest for absolution is what we are seeing from far-left white people who believe in this ideology. As across the country they do everything from submit to black people, bow down kissing their boots, to even praying before them, asking to be forgiven for their racism and the evils of slavery. Presidential candidate Marianne Williamson, at one of her speaking events, had all the white people in the crowd stand to recite a prayer, asking for forgiveness from all the black people in attendance.
I'm going to ask the white Americans in the room to please repeat after me. On behalf of myself and on behalf of my country, to you and all African Americans, from the beginning of our nation's history, in honor of your ancestors and on behalf of your children, please hear this from my heart. I apologize.
This insistence to abolish everything they believe to be racist and oppressive is what is also leading to riots, the pulling down of statues, to eradicating anything that is related to American iconography, even calls to dismantle the very foundations of the country.
As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
What that means is being committed to dismantling those systems of white supremacy and oppression and those systems of white privilege which have so often created the violation of the human rights and human dignity of people of African descent.
As in order to achieve their desired utopia, free of racism and all the other isms, they believe they have to overthrow all the current institutions of society. Even if they succeeded in eradicating everything they believe to be racist and oppressive, that would still leave them with the past itself to deal with. Meaning they not only have to transform the present, they have to reshape the past, as the past itself is what has influenced the present. Which is why we are seeing the pulling down of statues, the condemning and even banning of old words and phrases, the renaming of schools, streets, and even products with anything deemed offensive and insensitive, to even the reimagining of history with the New York Times 1619 Project. All being done to end the stain of white supremacy that they believe has infected the world. They do it with such zeal, it is similar to a religious pursuit of faith. Which is why what we are seeing coming out of the far-left intersectional ideology is akin to a new religion.
Sing it with me. Hands up, please don't shoot 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 me.
The axioms by which it views the world have very similar precepts, with concepts such as original sin being comparable to privilege, racism, or hate, as white people are simply born with these things. However, unlike religion, there is no path to redemption. There is only the admissions of one's sin, followed by self-abasement and the lifelong pursuit to right the wrongs that were committed in the past. Except because it's in the past, it can never be changed. Therefore, they can never be absolved of those evils, even though they had nothing to do with it. Meaning the march for justice must be pushed ever forward, never to be finished. Unlike Christianity that offers redemption and forgiveness, especially of one's past, because the road to salvation is complete. As Christ himself said, it is finished. So far-left groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter can continue to blame the troubles of the world on white supremacy and racism. They can tear down all of America and all the systems of oppression they can find.
Organizing for the abolition of not just the militarized police state, but also the United States as we know it.
With all the white people who believe themselves complicit in these terrible things, enslaving themselves in order to show solidarity to those that they have exploited. All the while believing they are creating a better world for everyone. Not realizing that no matter how much of the present they dismantle, or how much of the past they erase, white people will never be allowed to forget it. Meaning, in the end, even if white people have all their privileges removed, they will always be guilty of white sin. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. You can find more of my opinions over on my Minds page. You can also find me on Parler and Twitter. Links for everything will be in the description, of course. Thanks again, and God bless.